And we are live and we are here! Hello
Yes.
everyone! And welcome to another Toonkind FPS! Woohoo!
Woo!
I am one of your partners today, Vwild, playing two very interlinked characters, Little Lynn Stagehand and Network Sweetheart Nettle at your service! And I am joined by the wonderful, amazing, extremely talented
Hello, I'm Winona, and I'm gonna be playing two interlocking characters myself. My wonderful wizard boy, Scribbles Scrambles, and his little buddy Scratch. Yes.
a little friend who we are all very fond of, including a certain house. The house very much likes this little guy.
Oh.
But last time these guys met, it was certainly an interesting time, Lynn and Scribbles meeting.
Yeah. A nice meeting of an axe to the face.
Yes. Thankfully, no Scribbles were harmed in the makings of that FPS.
Yes, because he's a wizard boy and can cast hold person.
Yes, a spell that Lynn really doesn't like, but by God, it comes in clutch.
It does. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. I am so glad that worked.
Yeah. It was very good, it worked. On the plus side, he would have only lost a kneecap, probably. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's good that whole person was available.
Yeah.
But everything left on pretty good terms, everything was peaceful. And Scribbles and Scratch did get an invitation to come back another day if they made an appointment.
And they so did. They called back and made an appointment with Lynn.
Indeed! And I think once that sort of set up, it would have been okay, here's the appointment date, here's the time, just make sure you're wearing stuff that's comfortable. You will have a spontaneous welcome, and no, she will not clarify.
Yeah, I
She
mean,
will just say straight up, you're gonna get a greeting, have fun. And that's how she ends the call.
I mean, he's like, all right, and he's just like, he's curious what that is, but he's just like, I mean, it's probably because Nettle's excited. I mean, they've been a new friend in Scratch.
I will just say, as a jokey thing, on Lynn's end, once she hung up the phone for this appointment, she went, "Hey, sweetheart, we're gonna have a guest on this day. It's Scribbles and Scratch," and then the house practically vibrates.
Oh my gosh, I hold Nettle so softly.
Nettle really likes Scratch for the utterly odd being that they are. She's gonna have fun. I am so sorry for Scribbles, seeing as well that Scratch can't always be felt. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Uh, yeah, but Scribbles is a timely tune. He is definitely on time, and as he walks up to the house, he like sort of turns to Scratch, and even though he doesn't say anything, they actually have a telepathic like link in between each other. And he's like,
Yeah.
"All right, Scratch, this is I know you're excited, but still be polite. We are still guests at this. We're still guests, so be on your best behavior." And Scratch gives a little nod. It's like, I will. I'm just really excited. They say, and Scribbles nods. All right, as he then goes up to the door and gently knocks.
The door. Roll me a perception.
All right.
Now, did Scribbles get a business card at the end of last time? I don't think he. Oh wait, no, he actually. Oh wait, never mind. Belay that, he actually has a business card and a
Yes.
wall.
Oh boy.
You know what? Then that one's great for another reason. It's gonna be fantastic because the wonders of network is when you have a business card and a sketch on the wall. Network can already sense people when they come like within 10 feet of the door. So the second that happened, inside there was just one of the strings on the wall of love did light up. And you go to knock, And the door flies open. Like, you don't even get to touch it, it's just open.
Oh.
I need you to make a strength save immediately.
Alright. Let's do this. Yeah. That's about right.
Okay, what happens is you go to knock, door comes open, there is the loudest hum you can hear, and you're getting scooped inside. This breeze, like, practically comes out, wraps around you, and you are yoinked inside. You are slightly airborne.
Ah! I bet Scribbles is like flailing a little bit because he has no idea that that network can do this. He's just like, oh god, what's happening?
I'm gonna roll for Sweetheart just to see how well she's doing. Because you've rolled so low, I'm gonna give her advantage on this one thing that she can do. That is a 22.
Yeah,
Okay,
no.
tell me, does a 22 hit scratch?
No, that would be it would be a percentile for scratch.
Ah, percentile for scratch, of course.
But it would
anyway,
but I would make it with advantage. I would keep that. But yeah.
Alright. So let's see, advantage, it's a D100?
Yes.
Okay. That is a 60.
Ah, that does not hit scratch, unfortunately. But
Well,
you can definitely surround Scribbles, and his hair is sticking straight up, and it's just like, oh god.
You know what? It definitely fits that she got that high on the athletics to get the airborne, because she's putting all of her strength into trying to get Scratch. She's kind of forgotten that Scribbles exists because she just wants to get that one.
No, unfortunately. You do not get Scratch.
You do not get Scratch, however, you do absolutely bombard the other one.
Yes.
And I'd like to mention this, just as this is all going on, you won't get this because of that really terrible perception, but there is just Lynn sitting at her desk where she had been going, okay, sweetheart, we're going to give them a nice, polite, and you're gone, okay. And there's just, the foyer is just got Wizard, and she's just there, just utterly deadpan expression going, I should have expected this.
I probably should roll a perception if even Scribbles even sees Lynn.
Yeah, she's just sitting at her desk. She tried to go with the professional, welcome to my home. No, it didn't work. 15. I think after a couple of airborne spins, you might be upside down, perhaps, because Network is just really trying to get Scratch.
Oh, yeah, and Scratch is having a time. Like, it's just, he's a bit concerned, but at the same time, it's just like, oh my goodness, he can't stop, like, laughing, but you don't hear him laugh. He looks like he's laughing, but there's no noise coming out.
Oh, Network's add in some extra spins just because of that. Just entertain that one. That is her new friend. That is a new friend of ours. They are getting spins! So, I'm so sorry, Scribbles.
Yeah, Scribbles is having a time right now.
But I think with a 15, it's perhaps while you're upside down at one point, you do just see the desk and you just see this expression of this monkey just looking utterly done. Just... You can tell that she's probably given this speech to Network before and it didn't work as friend. And there's just her just going, sweetheart, sweetheart, put them down. I know you like them. Put them down safely on their feet. No. Yes, put them down. And you are just very, very gently, reluctantly put down.
Scribbles is probably, his hair is like a bit like in like even more wilder curls than normal, and he's like trying to regain his balance just a slight bit.
For the love of Pick. Hi, Scribbles. Wonderful of you to drop by.
Yeah, I'm guessing that happens often as you like he like slowly goes over to like the going over to the office and like sitting down.
Yeah, there is like one of the two. There are three chairs. There's the really nice green plush chair which Lynn sits in as the detective chair, and then there's two on the other side of the desk, and one of them does get nudged out slightly just by something unseen. You're pretty sure you know who did it.
Yeah, and Scribbles goes over to that chair and sits down with Scratch like chuckling on his shoulder.
You would be surprised. Honestly, that was an enthusiastic one. She's done better. She's actually been doing it for more people nowadays at once. I'm really picking proud of her. But yeah. On the plus side, you're still in one piece. And you're not too frazzled, maybe.
He like
You're gonna be fine.
yeah, he like combs his hand through his hair to like settle back down the scribbles to their like normal scribbly self. Ugh. I you definitely said I'd be welcomed, and I mean I didn't know what I was expecting, but I should have expected something.
Yeah, it's grown over the years. They've really grown up on their abilities. Used to only be able to. Oh, when was it? 2 years old. It was just this very, very faint little puff of wind. Now, tornadoes.
Yeah.
So picking proud of them.
Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. He like his hands on his head a little bit. He's probably still a little bit dizzy after all that. Ugh. But anyways, how have you been doing? You been doing okay?
Yeah, pretty picking decent.
Ooh.
Just all doing this and that. Rai's been about. Rai's doing good. Hattie's doing good. Rai's even going on a case soon.
He's going on a case? Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, the kid got his own case. I'm so picking proud of him. I mean, I'm starting getting back into them myself, but he's going all the way to UPA, I think.
Oh, really? Well, I say I hope the case goes well.
Indeed. I've put a few things in place just in case, but honestly, he's the pick and best. I am so proud of him. He's really gonna go far. I just know it.
Mm-hmm. And I say, and he has to start with like the small stuff and stuff. And I know you said you have stuff prepared, but you gotta let him spread his wings a little bit.
Oh, indeed. I mean, I learned under the best, and getting experience like this should be good, especially as, well, he's in the area of someone else I know, so I know he's going to be in safe hands if worst comes to worst. And I learned through experience under Almond and freelancing, so we'll see how things go.
Well, I hope they go for the best.
Indeed. But, and she does just like do this little tap of the desk with both her hands, and she goes, but we had business to talk about today,
Yes indeed. Ugh. As Scribble then sort of like looks at Scratch, and it's sort of silent between them, but Scratch gives a nod and like lands on Lynn's desk. You can you roll an insight for me?
Indeed. I will just say here and now, no matter what, Lynn is just like, she's not wearing her hat, but she does just make this gesture with her left hand to her forehead as though she's tipping her hat to them. Because yeah, this is a small guy and he's polite. She's gonna be polite to them. I'm gonna roll for Lynn.
Okay.
That is a 2. Shall I roll for network as well? Should I roll insight for network as well, seeing as she's also here?
Yeah.
Of picking course, we get a 7 and a goddamn 22.
Yeah, Lynn, you don't get anything. Network gets that. They feel like they're communicating in some way. Maybe similar. You're not very sure. It's not exactly speech, no, but you can definitely tell. They could definitely tell that they're communicating in some way in between each other without them actually talking out loud.
That is incredibly. The thing I love about this relationship of Scribbles and Scratch is that Lynn and Network have something similar through Network speech and the deeper bond of being Warmth Bringer and Network.
Mm-hmm.
And so while Lynn doesn't get this entirely, like, she doesn't know what's going on with a 7, but the way that Network seems to give this almost happy purr in the back of her mind, she knows, oh, something similar is happening here. There is some sort of parallel. Alright.
Yeah, and Scribbles looks at Scratch. He's like, "Yeah, I don't. It doesn't feel like Network, even with that gale force of wind, was able to touch Scratch this time. But which honestly, I'm the most surprised that didn't work."
Okay, Scribbles, you say that, and there is kind of this immediate look on Lynn's face as she suddenly slaps her hands down on anything that's accessible on the table to be moved. And I'm gonna roll another D100. Oops.
Nope.
I rolled it wrong because otherwise that would have been hysterical.
That would be nope.
No,
Nope.
It's just like Lynn sees this, slaps her hands down on the table. There is a gale force breeze that shoots across the table but does nothing to Scratch. And she's just there going, please don't pick and challenge her. She's gonna keep trying.
Noted. Yeah, and Scratch sort of looks a little bit downtrodden too. A little bit downtrodden. He's like, ah, dang it.
And Lynn just like looks at Scratch and goes, tell you what, just every now and then just give a little bop if you want to try again. She will try again. They're very enthusiastic. They've wanted to interact with you ever since you met. No, you cannot practice on the balls of yarn or the coconuts!
Scribbles laughs at that.
She got some coconuts from a friend. She's basically gone, hey, same size as your little friend here, Scratch. The amount of times I've been woken up by spontaneous coconut noises, you don't want to know.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah. I tried to do some research myself. I actually reached back out to to some of my more closer colleagues and friends at the university to see if any of their awakened spellbooks had any effect or experience like I did, and as far as I know, no one has had this happen.
I'm sorry, I don't know much about magic. You said awakened spellbook?
That's the scientific term for, he looks at Scratch, the ability that allowed me to first summon Scratch.
So, like familiar?
Yes. Yes, exactly. Like a familiar.
Ah. Huh. I thought those were usually cats.
I say Scribes Wizards actually it's really interesting. It comes in all different sorts of forms. Some do it in a like a little cascade of text. Others have a little little mini versions of themselves, and others have their visions of like a famous scholar that they know of. They're able to like summon a little mini version of them, which honestly I don't really get that myself. But others like Scratch are actually made with like our little drawlings. Whether it be, I mean, they can be cats and other animals if we wish it, but I've always liked this form of Scratch. He smiles. I was around. Oh, what was it? And Scratch like does the same thing, like they're communicating, but you can't tell what they're saying. And Scribbles nod. Yeah, it was it was around when I was 10. I think it was it was on my 10th birthday that, well, I first was able to see Scratch move in my little spell book. And I've always doodled in my spell book when I was a kid, since, well, as a scribe's wizard, I can easily create and erase anything within it. So I always liked doodling in it, and one of my sort of reoccurring characters was, well, Scratch. Sort of like a imaginary friend when I was a kid. But let's just say I was very surprised when my imaginary friend became my real friend.
Hey, Scribbles, would you roll me insight?
Yes, I will. All right.
Right, Scribbles, as you've been talking, like specifically when you said what age you started like coming up with all of this, coming up with Scratch, you just kind of see this pleasant look of surprise on Lynn's face before she just starts softening. And you don't know what age that Lynn started making network, but Lynn's had network for a long while. And
Aww.
you sort of see that resonate, your story resonates with her on that sense. And there is just the warmth of the air. Everything in this place is just subtly warmed just that little bit more. The walls a little brighter gold.
I'm guessing you maybe had where you had like I say I even though I've read about loci, I really don't know still much about them. Little like even I don't even know really how they're formed, and that's like and that was like a question at the end. He's like read about them, but he hasn't actually met a person who's had a loci until Lynn.
I'll admit, Genius Loci, I thought they were pretty pick and rare. I do think they are to an extent. I know there are other sentient beings out there, like
Yes.
Mark and a few others have mentioned other places, but the ECCR, Halloween Town, Evershift Inn. Is it Evershift, sweetheart? Yeah, Evershift, where the Brecht Brigade work out of. And Little Aisling.
Yeah. I mean, there's been theories more than books, I will admit, but it has been studied some, but never fully, well, studied.
I do know an expert in the field, but for myself, it's when Sweetheart first formed, it was, well, a bit, I want to say spontaneous, but it was a long time coming as well. I had no idea what I'd just created, but I was about the same age as you when you started all of this. Actually, slightly younger, probably 9, 10.
Mm.
But when I first found, well, an absolute wreck of a building on the corner of a street, I wanted to look after it. I worked on it, polished it, cleared out the rot and the damp, and replaced floorboards and tiles and windows, and just talked to the building. I came here every morning and evening after doing work with the family, and basically just poured as much of myself into this place as I could. I don't know what fully sparked it all. You'd have to ask Sweetheart yourself, I guess, but I think from personal experience, Genius Loci are formed from love, from dedication and magic, the magic of Ainquil and of connections. At least that's how I've seen it in the past. It's all about connections, about bonds.
You want to roll an insight now?
Yes, I do. Come on, Lynn. You can do it. I believe in you. 18!
Yeah, you now see now you're sort of like it's a reflection, because now, like, as you say, like, you poured your whole self into it and how hard you worked, like, rebuilding this old building, and now it's turned into your home. It definitely does like parallels with Scribbles, as he, like, wizards don't get like their awakened spellbooks right away. They have to work really hard at it, and Scribbles, you can definitely see, he's like, yeah, this guy has also really worked hard, put his whole heart and soul into learning magic. And he then sort of looks at Network, or at least looks around. He's like, so what was that spark then, Network?
And this entire place seems to hum, and there is the soft glow. You actually see that the walls do just like very, very softly glow. It's the exact same gold of Lynn. And Lynn seems to be listening at that, and she just goes, right. Me and Sweetheart, there is a language here, and also, and she does actually seem to listen again, her ear twitching, and she goes, it's a soul bond, well, to put it lightly, Sweetheart is my soulmate.
Oh.
And from what she's been able to say, it's that I brought warmth. That there was no... And she does, like, stop as she's furrowing her own brow, and... Roll me Arcana.
Alright. Really?
I will give you advantage, seeing as you're a Peckin wizard. Magical bullshit is your thing.
Yes. Okay. There we go.
Twice faster. There's the 19 we wanted. As Lynn's talking, it's at first you don't quite get it, and then perhaps it's just something tweaks. In the way Lynn's speaking, you can almost hear it in dual tone. There's her voice, but there's an undercurrent to it, a bass almost of... Well, it sounds almost like a hum underneath it, and she just goes... There was no defining moment, there was just... nothing, and then there was something. We were alone, and we were non-existent, and then there was warmth. And there was love, and there was dedication, and there was kindness, and then there was bond. There was me and Wolfringer.
Yeah, Scribble's eyes widen at that. Your network is speaking through you. He says that like in disbelief, but like in awe disbelief.
And Lynn looks up at you, and there is the orange of her eyes. There's pumpkin orange, like, tinging everything about her nowadays, but you also see that distinctive gold. And Lynn smiles, and it is both her and Network in a sense. As she goes, hey, soul bond. Where one of us is, the other always is. If anything were ever to happen to me, Sweetheart would be the first to know.
Yeah, Scribble, like, oh, like, it's like he's jaw dropped. He's just like, this is amazing. This is something I've never like read about or anything. It's just like, man. And like Scratch is just like in awe too. He's just like, oh my gosh. And yeah, I say Scribbles is sort of speechless at this.
It's me and Sweetheart, and you can just kind of see Lynn stumble over the word for a moment as she's just like very nearly just starting to say we as a collective before she just like slightly tilts her head back with a bap of no, I'm in control again, no. And she just goes, Our bond has been fluctuating recently after everything. I admit I very nearly lost my bond to Sweetheart. It would have Well, Sweetheart wouldn't have gone away because they have other bonds now beyond just me and my network, but the bond might have passed on to Rai if anything else had gone any further. So we're working on strengthening it back now. And let's just say somebody's getting a little attached. Hey, aren't you, Sweetheart? Yes, you picnic.
That's amazing that, like, it can, like, I mean, it sort of makes sense with probably Rai living here for such a long time. Network forming a bond with him is just, I
Yeah,
mean,
he's lived with us for about a year now. It's everything here. It's about communication. It's about bonds. You've got to forge that bond and create that connection, and well, it's mutual love in a sense. Rai loves Network as much as Network loves him, and I mean, he calls her Nettle. It's you trade names, you trade that love, you trade that bond. He's got a secondary bond. I think over time it'll grow to be almost equal to mine, but we'll see how that goes. Might take a decade or so.
yeah. Do you want to roll an insight for Scribbles again?
Mm-hmm. Hey, 20.
Oh, oh yes. So as you're talking about having different bonds and connecting, and basically all the bond talk, you could see Scribbles just like go up towards his chest, and you maybe not noticed this before, but now he's sort of bringing a little bit more attention to it. But there's a silver necklace that he's wearing,
Oh,
in the shape of a crescent moon with a little heart-shaped moonstone in it, and he's now sort of fiddling it with it in one hand as he's like, Bonds, eh? Well, I,
he didn't have that last
no, he didn't.
time, did he?
No,
I
he
know
did.
exactly where that's from.
I,
But
but he's
yeah,
like,
sorry.
yeah, I say, he's like, Bonds, eh? I mean, heard of different kinds of, family bonds, friend bonds, but this is just a whole nother level.
Well, it is a soul bond. From what I am aware of, there seems to always be a main person. Kara from Halloween Town. Well, Halloween Town itself.
Wait,
From what? Hmm?
Halloween Town itself?
Oh yes, Halloween Town's a genius loci.
Uh, he's just like, he like opens his mouth, but then takes a moment to process that, and he's just like, "How does that work?"
Honestly, I'm pretty sure it's Peck in age.
I mean,
Halloween Town's old as Peck.
that would make sense. It is old as well, Peck. It's just,
Hey, Lynn's delighted at that.
ugh.
Lynn's
Yeah, but I soul bonds. I definitely haven't been well. I haven't studied any of that sort of stuff, and I don't think, and yeah. And with that 24, you could say he's a little bit awkward when he's like talking about bonds in general.
But Lynn just nods and goes, from what Sweetheart's told me of Kara, Kara has the host, which is, the leader of Halloween Town, Jacques Macabre.
Mm.
I'm not sure about the ECCR or Evershift, but they might as well. It's all about forging your own connection, and with Sweetheart, it's also forging other connections. She feeds through connections, through bonds, through emotions.
Mm.
Take, for example, the sole bond that I have to her as partner, as carer, them for me and me for them, and Sweetheart's my child as well. Or Rye. Rye is, well, brother of mine to Sweetheart. It's all about those bonds and those connections that fuel things. And I'm presuming that you have a very deep bond with Scratch, and
Yeah, Scratch nods at that, and sorry, Scratch nods at that, and so does Scribbles. Yeah, I'm basically like his father. I am his father, really. And Scratch like floats back over to Scribbles and gives a little nuzzle, and Scribbles like gives a little hug with her hand.
there is a very soft breeze that seems to ruffle the plait that Lynn has before curling around her shoulders as she just nods, completely understanding, and she just goes, bonds like this are incredible. They are deep and profound in ways that I can't articulate. It's innate, but also not. You work for it, but it's a hell of a reward.
Yeah, it is a hell of a reward, and I don't know what I would do without Scratch.
Same. It would. Well, I actually know what it feels like when I can't feel Sweetheart. It's a very cold world indeed. But we don't dwell on close bonds, we don't dwell on the severed. We turn to other things. We turn to warm emotions and happiness, eh? Like, for example, and she is just giving a pointed look at, like, the necklace that you've got. She's questioning. There's an eyebrow raise. She's got a few ideas now.
Oh, this? Oh, it's nothing. That's nothing.
Nothing my pick and tail.
He's gonna try to roll deception, but I'm just gonna give myself disadvantage.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's a straight D20. Oh yeah, he's blushing. He is blushing. His hair curls are now turned into little hearts. But he's not saying anything. He's like, it's nothing. It's nothing.
I'm just saying here and now, it's just Lynn is just like eyebrow raise looking at you, just there is the I know, you might be trying to hide it, but I know, and there is just in fact, you know what? There is in the air, Sweetheart can manipulate some things. There is a radio off to one side. It starts playing like DJ moves is like soundtracks of like love music. Like Calamity Dame, the theme of music that was in that for the romantic partners, and she's just there going, that's just happening in the background. I'm just like, yeah. And she goes, by the way, how's Ms. Silly?
Oh, Sally? Oh, Sally's doing great. Yeah, she's doing fine. Why do you ask? He's just like, he's failing at this. He's failing at this so spectacularly.
There is just like the smug. It's not quite smug, but it is very much a. I know. I've hit the nail on the head. This is great. I'm sending them chili.
He's already got chili. He hasn't finished the first batch. There's only 3 people that live in his apartment.
Too late. You're getting more chili. You are gonna go home, and you are gonna have another pot of chili just spontaneously there. She will get you more chili. You think you're done? No. Eternal chili.
Oh my god. Yeah, like, Scratch is. I need to make a perception for Scribbles to see Scratch, because Scratch is gonna be a little shit.
Oh god, we love it when they're a little shit. It's great.
Oh yeah, as Scribbles is just like not looking at Lynn, so he's not noticing Scratch. So Scratch is like has that smug grin, and he sighs. Yeah, boyfriend, girlfriend.
There is a little hummed giggle in the air the boards and the wind and everything just seems to creak in that way that just sounds very much like hummed giggling. As Lynn just goes, of course, everything, yep, totally, just everything's just absolutely normal, everything's fine.
Yes,
But
of
it's
course.
a nice connection you got there, eh?
Say that one more time.
It's a nice connection you got there, eh?
Oh, yeah, nice connection, yes, indeed. As it's almost like his twitch. He's just like fiddling with the necklace with one hand again.
Aww. And yeah, there is just the Lynn is gonna bring this up in the future because she's a menace. She is a menace to society, and someone, well, I would say someone should stop her. She'd probably laugh in the face of the love police.
Yes.
But it's just like, she lets it lie now because it's just like, yeah, she's done her teasing, she's had her fun. But she just goes, but now back onto serious business, I guess, because while we can talk about the wonders of connections another day. I think we've got a specific connection we wish to talk about today. You said that you had drawings originally. What was the exact moment again like when Scratch took form?
Scribbles, like, sits there and he's pondering about this heavily because he's never really thought about the feeling of when he first formed. Like, he's like, well, when I saw Scratch first move, I thought it was an illusion. I thought it was just a trick in the mind. But I hmm. I mean, I was very happy. I was scared out of my wits for sure. And I think my mom thought I was crazy for a couple of days until I actually showed her. But I I had unbridled joy when I saw Scratch first move and actually realized that no, this wasn't my mind playing tricks on me, but he was actually on the page. He was writing messages to me because he didn't know sign language back then. The only way back then we could communicate was through writing.
Mm-hmm.
And but if you're trying, I don't remember much of anything before that. I was so young. I was just so focused on my magical studies, but yet I was a loner sort of when I was a kid. Sure, I had my younger sister with me, but I poured my heart and soul into studying magic because that's what I love the most. Magic, it's endless source of creativity and wonder that it can be in any shape or form. It's it just sends a spark through me.
Mm. And Lynn's nodding again, and it's that soft expression as you've been describing all of this, as she considers everything, and she goes, "Yeah, it's similar experience to myself in a way. It's when Sweetheart formed, it was definitely something when suddenly the beige walls with the paint splatters I'd been trying to paint blue suddenly burst into gold light. It was through physical contact for me. In fact, yeah, one moment. And she actually gets out of the chair that she's been in, and
Mhm.
she makes her way around the desk towards a wall back towards the foyer, the wall of love by the sofa. And you can roll perception or arcana at this point.
Let's roll Arcana. Ooh,
Hey!
nice.
It's you notice as Lynn's going over, she has just like nodded at you, Scratch again, of just she'll be right back in a second. But as she's going over, it's almost as though the glow of the wall seems to actually be moving with her, as though she's the one who's giving off light through some reason. But as she gets close to the wall, this soft glow translates from her being the beacon to the wall being the beacon. And there's the rainbow of strings that are visible over this monumental amount of sketches that line this wall. Some people you recognize, others you don't, but as she gets closer, she raises a hand and the little sketches seem to move and shift around her as she seems to be focusing and trying to find one. And she seems to then just move her hand and lift a few out of the way, and there is 2 pictures that are visible now. One of them, which you can see even from there, because Lynn isn't hiding it in any way, shape, or form. One of them is a picture of, it looks child drawn, of 3 monkeys. 1 black and 2 gold. And then next to it is a blueprint, which very much looks as though it was drawn by very young hands. And she just goes, "You had your way of forming. I had mine. It's the way me and Sweetheart consolidated our bond was, well, through years of work. Sweetheart can't learn sign the way that Scratch can because no hands, and there is just a happy at that. Just, but we communicate through, well, through, and she does just like gesture with one hand as she seems to try and be plucking words from the end. She goes, through sound, through our humming, through network speech that me and her have made over the years."
Yeah, Scribbles nods. Yeah, I've definitely picked up on that's your way of communicating. My way, did I mention this? I don't know, but my main way of communicating with, well, not other than sign, of course, but we have Scratch and I have a little telepathic link to each other. We always can speak to each other no matter how far away from either of us we are.
And Lynn just like nods at that, and she just goes, "Me and Sweetheart have something similar, different but similar. It's we know if the other one is in danger. It's interesting like that. If, well, I don't know whether you have this or whether this is something specific to only me and her, but the reason why I'm called Warmth Bringer is I bring Sweetheart warmth, but..." And she does just put a hand to her chest, right over her heart, and she just goes, "There is a warmth in our bond. Behind my heart, and I think Rye might be getting it as well. We can feel that connection as a tangible sense. I know if something goes wrong, Sweetheart can alert me, and if anything ever happened to me, Sweetheart would know through any effects on that warmth, that small fire. Do you have anything like that?"
Scribbles again thinks, and so Scra- even Scratch like even gets closer to him, and he sort of like he goes on his shoulder, but he's just like leans onto him, and Scribbles is like, kind of. I mean, I've always felt I've always been connected to Scratch. We come from the same magic, and well, I've even though nothing can touch him, I always if something ever happens to my book, his book, I kind of know. I've had something similar happen. When it was a long time ago though, when I was younger, but I was animus, and I was sitting close to the fire, and something say my sister was trying to get into one of my stuff, and I accidentally knocked my book a little bit too close to it, and a part of the edge started charring a little bit.
Oh,
I knew the minute it was happening that something was wrong, and I went back and thankfully I caught the book before it could burn anymore.
So sounds like that's the heart of everything for you. It's
Mm.
Sweetheart has this wall. It's well load bearing, but also the very heart of her essence. For Scratch, I'm presuming, well, living magic, living book. That is their tangible point.
Mhm. Also, if if Network wants, they can make a history check.
Network, make a history check. Oh boy!
See if they remember this.
All right, let's see if I can make the history check for Network. Oh baby, that's a -1. You're a baby. That's a baby. You're a.
You know, I would give advantage since this wasn't exactly settled, but at the same time, they come from similar sources.
Yes, this is I cannot articulate how baby Network is sometimes. That's a 5.
And I can't really give much of a 5. Network remembers like that sort of feeling of like something similar magic to them when they were first able to touch them, but that's about it. And it came from more. No, I can't even get that part. It's just like they just remember it was a similar magic, and that was it.
Yes. I think what's happening is Network is kind of focused on, well, on the bond. You actually feel like this soft wind wrapping around Lynn and then back to you in that sort of, I don't actually know what the word is itself, but the eternity symbol?
Yes, the eternity symbol.
Yes, it's just past Lynn and then past you guys. Do you mind if I roll another D100 on this?
Yes, you
Put some
can.
D100.
Yes,
81!
yes, it happens again.
Hey!
Network was a Scribbles freezes, and so does Scratch they as a as they are able to feel that warmth of Network wrap around them. And now, yeah, for sure, Nettle is able to sense that loci like magic. It's the genius sort of magic, but it's definitely different. It's similar but yet different at the same time. Like within the same family, within Scratch, but not the book, but in Scratch it themselves.
There is. Instead of the breeze stopping at that point, it does just like continue and it entirely leaves Lynn, entirely leaves Scribbles, and he's just like cocooning around Scratch themselves in a little hug. It's just like you are encapsulated in this sudden warm, soft breeze and hum.
And you could see Scratch looks like he's yellow. He's bright yellow, but he looks like he's crying as Scribbles like looks at Scratch and he's like Audra. He says, "You can feel that? Yes, Scratch. That's what warmth feels like. That's what warmth feels like. Yes." As like Scratch tries to hug the breeze back, but you can't.
Aww. Hey, does Scratch have stats? Because if they do, roll me an insight or arcana.
they they technically don't have stats, but I'll roll
Roll,
a d20 for them.
yeah,
Not in this
roll a
form.
d20. Yeah, roll a d20.
Ooh.
16.
Mhm.
You do feel it's not just this ball of a breeze around you. It does actually feel like a full form, as though there are arms, a tail of all things. And you are just being absolutely wrapped in a hug that feels both like a breeze and both like a full person wrapping around you. And yeah, you can't hug back fully, but you know just through plain emotion that yeah, this person, Sweetheart, understands that you're trying to hug back, and the mere idea that you are trying seems enough.
Yeah, like Scratch is like full on crying and crying, like in happiness, but at the same time, even makes Scribbles tear up a little bit. He wipes a tear from his eyes, like he's so happy, Lynn. I, he's not. He was. I don't know how they are. She's doing this, but Scratch is never able to feel anything. I mean, not warmth, just more like a form. Even to me, they were never able to like feel my warmth or anything, just magic upon magic. And that doesn't really have anything unless, well, technically if you put emotions into it, possibly, but I've I never thought about the notion until now.
Hmm. Well, and Lynn herself is actually she is the brightest, fluffiest gold you have seen her this entire time. Her sketching is always just slightly blurred,
Mhm.
but it does seem pretty solid in this moment as she's looking at you and looking at Scratch. And the air has just got that soft vibration to it that just you can feel just plain feels happy. And Lynn just nods and goes, Sweetheart's always been able to feel me, but it's all about strength of bonds for us, but maybe it's about strengthening just a single bond for you. It's whatever I can feel, Sweetheart can feel in a sense. Not when I'm out and about. Emotions is what she gets then. Thank pick and gods I do not want her feeling some of the things I've felt, but if we can find a way to strengthen the bond between you and Scratch, there's magic for augmenting these sorts of things. Circles perhaps? Do
Yes,
wizards dabble
yes.
in
Yeah,
circles?
rituals. In a lot of cases, they're in the form of circles. But
Perhaps.
I, again, this is just all new to me. I'm starting to think that Scratch. I don't know. I mean, he still is able to do what he's normally to do, but it feels like he's also something else, and I don't know what.
Yeah, I can safely say that Scratch isn't a genius loci. It's mainly because not a pick in house,
Yeah.
but it is something similar. I can tell that much from what Sweetheart's telling me right now. But
Hmm.
we can. I'm not a magic expert. I'm by no means a magic expert. I've got 2 levels in Bard now. I'm very proud of that, but it's all about teach me a spell and know how it works in the tangible sense. Not the technical academic, really, but if I can help in any way through understanding bonds, if you need any help finding things to create a circle to help with this, I mean, pick, Scratch, you're amazing, and I want you to have all the best. And she is directly talking to Scratch at that point.
Scratch is distracted right now. He's still hugging Network. He's like, he
Yeah,
nods towards Lynn, but at the same time, he doesn't want to let this warmth go.
no, no. If anything, the warmth has gotten slightly more. It's like being in a tumble dryer. It is it is as though you are being wrapped in a blanket in a tumble dryer. It is the best of warmth.
Yeah, this is the first time, like I said, he's ever felt anything, and the first thing he's felt was warmth.
Yes, it is warmth, it is comfort, it is soft, and there is just the faint vibrating of a very, very happy hum that is just traveling through him.
Yeah, but Scribbles thinks upon what you said, like helping her with circles and everything. He's like, you know, I may have an idea. See,
Oh,
he snaps his finger and similar to you, like the word snap forms in the air, but then transforms into a quill pen. This quill, it has my partial magic into it, but also allows me to do ink. And any color that I want. But what if I make a circle using this quill, using partial of my magic, and I mean it's also somewhat Scratch's magic. If we ever form a circle, but there's no circle like it. There's never been a circle like this. And Scratch like perks up at that, and he like talks to Scribbles in again, and Scribbles sort of nods. I mean, that could work. Why couldn't we make our own circle together?
And Lynn is nodding along at this, especially when you said that it's like combined magic, and she just goes, that could work. I mean, I don't get the magic side of things, but the bond I have between Sweetheart and me, it's push and pull like tides in a sense. It's I fuel her and she fuels me. So if you've got magic that can draw into both of you, make that. And she does just do the eternal symbol with her hand. And she just does that back and forth. I think it's lemon skate or something like that.
I
Is
don't
what it's
remember off the top of my head.
called. She does just like make that gesture with her hand. She just goes, "You're making a feedback loop in a sense of both of you. It's dangerous if it goes wrong, but let me get some of my notes from what I've taken from Sweetheart. We can make something, or at least a draft that you can then go off and perfect. I mean, you've got other people."
Mm-hmm. Scratch nods, and so does Scribbles. And and Scratch even like grabs the pen, goes over and leaves network and grabs the pen, looking like he's really excited and he wants to try this out.
Lynn does just like she's gonna go into her side office, but before she does just like she turns back and it's warm, but it is also serious, and she just goes, "If you're dabbling in your own ink, just do be careful about that, alright? Ink is, well, it's very personal. It's how someone's ink shapes things, your magic that's imbued in that. Just be careful with your own ink, alright?" And she just disappears into her side office.
You say she isn't able to hear, but for the audience, there's a small "all right" as he he sort of like maybe gets that something. I don't know. It's like he's being really serious, and he's not very sure what's wrong, but at the same time, he's taking her words very seriously too.
Indeed. But Lynn does just like there is some rummaging. You do hit roll me perception. In fact, actually, what's your passive perception?
My passive is actually a 16.
Right, you definitely hear there is a metallic clunk noise. You don't know why there's a metallic clunk noise from the side office. It's weird, but there is like the sound of rustling papers, the sound of movement, just soft humming from Lynn and from Sweetheart. And then there's another metallic clunk. And then she just comes back out with a nice little folder of stuff that she's got and a journal, and she just goes, "I've been taking notes over the years of how network speech evolved, how everything between me and Sweetheart changed and altered and grew, and when Rai came into the picture, our second little warmth bringer. But if we can take what I've got as the non-magical understanding magical bullshit theory and incorporate the technical sides of the magic of what you understand what fuels are, bonds and how the bonds connect, and I can get you in contact with someone else I know, Faber the wizard. He's a genius loci specialist, but he's also old as Peck as well, so he should be able to understand some things. Well, actually, he's not old as Peck. That would be the Spookies. He's old, but he's not as old. I'm not going to use the other phrase because that's a real kind phrase, and I'm not letting you learn it, Sweetheart. We're gonna install a swear jar! And she does just like, she goes on the mild tangent, but she is just like having these notes with her now.
Hmm. Scribbles
Oh,
nods. Yeah, I could actually take a look at them right now.
yeah, yeah. Alright, just give me a sec, and Lynn is just gonna straight up. There are these orange sparks around her, and she
Mhm.
jumps up onto her desk.
Oh boy.
She just like straight up just jumps on the desk. There is just the soft smell of pumpkin spice, and then she's just setting out all the folders on her desk, which is a big desk. She is a small monkey, and this is big.
I mean, you know what's fun about the technicalities of Scribes Wizards? They can basically speed read. So,
Hey,
so yeah, like it's crazy. Like technically, they can make a spell. They can copy down any spell for like in 2 minutes. So,
wow!
yeah. So Scribbles just immediately starts speed reading all these notes.
There is almost a soft breeze around you, and every now and then, as you're reading, there's just another bit just get nudged over on the table towards you. Of this bit's important. Important bit of mine. Special bit of mine. Silly bit of mine. Very useful information. Yes, yes, yes. And you can't hear that, but it is just Network is just like trying to help out and is utterly fascinated with how fast you're going. Lynn's impressed with how fast you're going. You're going at this like she goes at case files.
Yeah, it's years of practice for Scribbles to speed read this much this fast. He's honestly this isn't even bad. He had to do more in college. He may have had some bad cramming sessions that he's learned to perfect this art.
Lynn knows how to do something similar with how she is a detective and how you have to read case files fast, sort them faster, and she is actually a licensed detective, so detective is her title. She did pass her exams.
Yeah, it's actually really funny as like Scribbles as he's reading actually organizes it while like he when he's done and stuff. So there's like a there's a mage hand that is just like organizing the files after he reads them all.
There is an unseen servant. It's just like Lynn's looking at this, looking at you, looking at Sweetheart helping you, and then she does this stuff with her hands and mutters under her breath. And then there's a soft clunk, almost like, you know, a mannequin when you've got one of those little puppets on strings that's made of wood.
Yes.
There is a very faint noise at first of that before it goes utterly silent. And that mage hand is being helped by an unseen servant.
Yeah, it's adorable. I love it.
But Lynn is just full on contributing of just picking up parts that she knows and going, okay, so how does this translate to an academic speech? And other points where she just describes her reasoning for something
Mhm.
and explains it as much as she can to correlate with magic, while also it very much distinctly being someone who doesn't study magic for a living, but she does understand a bit more now that she's taking that bard stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm gonna roll Arcana just to say like how he's able. I'm not even sure, maybe not Arcana, but he wants to be able to translate that into more of a simple speech for Lynn to understand because this is basically his life is just translating in stuff magic. So what would that be? I want to say Arcana, but at the same
You
time,
can
not very
either
sure.
You can go Arcana or Performance, seeing as this is you trying to, well, perform something, take it from an academic understanding into a more technical speech.
Yeah, let's go with the straight D20 then, because that makes sense. He's able to do it pretty well for the most part.
I'm gonna roll intelligence for Lynn
Yeah.
to see how well she's picking up on it. Hey!
Woo!
17! She's actually getting it for once. You can kind of see. In fact, you can kind of see at first where she does seem as though she's been around her cousin Haddie and a few other people who do know magic, and so she normally just sits back and lets them just talk. But this, she's actually, with stuff that she's done with Haddie, with stuff she's done with Jacques and other people, you do actually see the moment when she starts understanding a few of the bits of jargon, and then she's nodding along. And
Yeah.
the more you're speaking, the more excited she's getting as she gets this. She actually understands what you're saying. It's not just picking magical bullshit. She understands.
Yeah, which is a which is good because like he's also a tutor, so he knows like to be patient, and sometimes he needs to repeat stuff for her. And even though maybe he's going a little bit faster than he normally would because he's excited and wants to know more about this, but yeah, you get it really well for the most part. Yeah.
She does translate a few bits into layman's terms. Like, you say something and she relates it to like real life experience of strings on a board or connections or finding that one link, or translating it into more cantrip like magic at some points, because she does get cantrips a little bit. But you do just see her getting more excited as the more you're saying. Yeah, she stumbles over bits of it, but she grasps it.
Yeah, and when this is all said and done, Scribbles like looks at her and he's just like, I think your previous theory may be correct, that maybe to really start being again, this is totally new for Scratch, but we may need to start strengthening the bond between him and I before Elise getting any other bonds. I feel, with what I've read, I feel like he's definitely not a mature. I want to say low. I can't say loci, but that's not what he is. He's more of made of magic, but he's still connected to an object. That's for sure. It's like he is still connected to my book and by proxy myself, but he's still very much immature. And Scratch sort of like glares at him, that not in that way. You're still a baby. You're in all essence like you're smart for a baby, but it's just your magic is still can't rely on itself or by the book. Like you can't go into another book per se or magic book per se and sustain yourself. You still need me, but
So, not a loci wouldn't fit, but magici or something?
Uda Magica, haunted by magic. I think that may be the. I think that's what we're calling this.
You should write a paper on that.
I'm gonna be doing multiple studies by the time I'm through. He's like really excited about this. You could tell without even Roy, like this is something new. That this is like what he lives for. Like this is a wizard's dream to find something new and record it. Though going back to what I originally was going to say, it's like I think, like I said, it's just strengthening the bond between us, and a circle may do it, but he sort of goes over to he goes to a page, but then sort of looks at the floor. I think that we need to do it together for sure, but I don't think it's gonna backlash. I mean, not. I mean, I can't say that for definite, but we are in a safe place. No one is gonna attack us, so I think
Indeed.
I think Scratch like pipes up and he begins signing. It's like, what if we start doodling like we did when you did when you were a kid? Start with that. And Scratch takes the quill that Scribbles originally has, because I think I actually know he made notes while looking through all these files that Lynn had and put it in his own journal for like records and everything. But Scratch goes over to the floor, an empty bit of the floor, and starts off with drawing a red heart in the middle. What would we start with that and go from there? And that's why he signs.
It's
And
you guys. There is a giant rug on the floor. It rolls up just immediately exposing as much floor as possible, and there is a vibration underneath you all as Network is just fully on board with this.
Scribbles nods. Just to make sure, you're okay with this, right, Lynn?
Honestly, this is connections, this is bonds, this is everything I love seeing. I mean, picking hick. I'm completely on board with this. We'll need to be careful that Sweetheart doesn't accidentally, because this place is Sweetheart in its entirety. We don't exactly want her mixing in with this, but yeah, just however I can help.
Hmm. I think just make sure we get furniture out of the way and stuff. The rug is a good start, but let's just try to clear as much space as we can around this circle, because it's going to be a little bit big.
Hmm. If we didn't want to do this directly on the floor, I have got conspiracy boards that do span the size of a wall. If I get one of those in here, we can put it on the ground.
That may be a better solution to this, just in case as a safety precaution.
Indeed. And don't worry, these things are tough. I have actually put them on the ceiling before when I ran out of room of how many boards I could have in one place. So they are sturdy. Give me one sec, and there is just this clap clap, and hey, could Scratch and Scribbles make a deck save?
I mean, it'd be just scribbles at this point, but yes, I can't make a deck save.
Scribbles, Scribbles, make a deck save.
Alright, what's your dex? Well, I'm not going to say anything because. Okay, good. 15.
You're doing this. Lynn actively just like she thinks for a second as she's doing the clap clap. She's still on her desk, and so she does just go, "Oh wait!" And right as that happens, there is almost like you're looking at the floor, and you do just see like the outline of something about to fall from the ceiling, and then you're able to get out of the way just in time as a conspiracy board just materializes and thumps onto the ground.
That's impressive.
You'd be surprised what she can do. It is impressive. But anyway, let's get drawing.
Scribbles nods, and he's like, right. As Scratch begins with a little heart, and it takes them a while to do this. And that's even though Scribbles is fast at writing and technically drawing, he takes his time with this with Scratch. You could definitely tell they banter back and forth as they are able to say they continue drawing, but they eventually, after an hour, come up with this design. And let me get it.
Oh, that looks awesome.
Yeah, it's a heart in the middle, surrounded by what looks to be a tip of a fountain pen that has like a sun in the middle, which streams out many different swirls of different colors going together and surrounding it. And Scribbles takes a breath and he looks at Scratch and Scratch gives a nod and he's like, "All right, let's do this." As he then goes over to the middle and like sits in the middle of the circle and he takes out the spell book, holds it in like he sits cross-legged, sit, sits down and puts the spell book in his lap, but yet he sort of cups his hands so Scratch could be in his hands as he does sort of a way sort of looks like he's meditating a bit.
Which is great because if Lynn had been able to say anything, she would have actually been mentioning what she does against the board or against the wall of love, where she just sits there and curls up and does almost meditate there when she wants to strengthen her bond to Sweetheart. And so
Mm,
she's just sitting watching Scratch and Scribbles on her desk, just cross-legged, just oddly silent for her, just enjoying watching what she thinks is going to happen, what she knows is going to happen.
yeah, and Scribbles closes his eyes, and so does Scratch, and after a while, the magical circle begins to glow. The different colors begin to change in a rainbow effect as the magic fills the air. Yet, this magical aura shifts as it starts off as if we're a warm campfire. Then a soft but chilly winter breeze. The sharp smell of acid hits your nose before changing into a foul taste of poison. Your fur begins to stand up on end as the air fills with electricity, which is quickly accompanied by the sound of thunder. This shifting between elements of magic corresponds to the colors in the circle as they change. And also, Scribbles begins to glow, though there is a bright white light coming from Scribbles' chest. Scratch begins to float upwards from Scribbles' hands, and the rainbow of ink that was the circle is lifting up and beginning to swirl around the two of them as Scratch's form changes. His scribbly body condensing itself into what looks to be a sphere of black ink that the rainbow ink swirling around the both of them starts to combine with and makes a new form. A simple but yet inky black looking humanoid form that has a rainbow iridescent sheen on it. Scratch then flies to the bright light on Scribble's chest and wraps himself around it, causing the white light to shine brighter and change its color to a bright yellow, making it almost look like a small sun. The glow then, after a bit, starts to slowly fade and die down as Scratch morphs back into his original scribbly ball form. The magic in the air fades away as Scribbles opens his eyes and looks down at Scratch, who is still hugging his chest, and he smiles and hugs Scratch back. Yeah, I think we've definitely formed that bond now.
Lynn is speechless. She is just smiling in awe.
Yeah, and Scratch doesn't stop hugging Scribbles, and he looks down at Scratch as he's sort of speechless, as you can definitely tell he's talking. But Scratch then goes over to Lynn quickly and goes towards the hand that isn't covered in bandages, and Scratch touches you and rubs us against his hand as he is feeling your fur. And
there is a breathless laugh from Lynn of just, well, hello, little buddy. And she just, like, very gently just, like, runs her hand over his top of his head, just a little ruffle, and it is the softest fur ever. There's a faint scratchiness to the outline, but it is just everything else as a part of it is just soft. She is a pom-pom.
And a little surprise happens. As you do that, Scratch looks back at Scribbles, and you are for sure he doesn't realize he's doing that. He's like, Scribbles, look, I can touch. Is this what soft feels like? This is so soft, it's warm, just like nettle. Oh my gosh, come on. Let's say, have you felt? No. And Scribbles laughs. He's like, no, I can't. That's rude to ask to touch someone's fur. Well, can I? And the moment Scratch releases your hand, you lose that telepathy because you just realized Scratch didn't know this, but he was communicating through you, communicating to you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna roll something just to see how. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and Scratch is now going around the room, and Nettle is now like getting micro bits of telepathy as he goes around and touches everything because this boy can touch everything now.
Oh god, he can touch everything. Make a strength save, mother pecker!
Yes.
And I'm gonna say make it a disadvantage just for the hilarity of Somft.
Yes. Oh my.
That's a 14. 14. You know what? Let me just check something. Nope. Passive strength is 16. I'm gonna say it still works, especially as you're tiny as peck.
Yes.
It's not like putting a sock in a tumble dryer, but it is, you are just scooped. You are scooped. It is warm, it is soft, you can be felt, and you are gonna be spun around.
Yeah, it's and Nettle's actually like Scratch still hasn't realized this, but Nettle can hear. I was like, Nettle can touch me. Scribbles, Nettle can touch me, Dad. He can do it. They can do it. She can do it. Ah! And he's just like full happiness. He's like he is like falling over his own words as is Nettle is able to touch him and he's able to touch her and he's just so happy.
Lynn is getting Lynn's first thing was just as soon as she got this message of all of that she was able to hear, she was hiding the "oh my god, this is the most adorable thing ever," meanwhile the "what the peck?" But now she's just like full on beaming with utter joy for Scratch and Scribbles, especially as like Network is just going, "Scratch of ours, Scribbles of ours, Scratch of ours can do this, can fly, can fly, can feel," and she is just absolutely, the hum in the house is the loudest thing ever. It is able to be felt in chest. It is just such a happy vibration as she is just like articulating right back to Lynn everything that is happening.
Yeah,
You get a feeling that Network is going to demand playdates.
yes, and like unfortunately the telepathy isn't two-way. It's only from Scratch to someone else. But Scribbles is just smiling and still a bit jaw dropped, but he's just like, it worked. Oh, it worked.
It worked, it's alive, it's alive!
Indeed. Oh, that's. I can't explain how happy I am. And he, like, clutches his chest. I think I'm starting to feel that warmth behind my heart.
You foster that well, alright? You let that grow. It's definitely something that will change with time. You'll have your ups and your downs, and well, I guess like parenthood in that sense, but you two are going to be amazing together. You have a beautiful connection. I look forward to seeing it grow further.
Scribbles smiles. Thank you. Though, since this is definitely I'm going to be researching this like the devil, you said there was someone who was well expert in loci, Faber, I think.
Yeah, he's actually coming by pretty soon. Actually, he's gonna be helping me move. That should be fun. We'll give you the next address because I've got a feeling that Network is not gonna be letting Network do not throw Scratch.
Scratch is letting Nettle do whatever she wants with him. He is just so happy he can be touched.
Yeah, it's just like Lynn is being full on mum of just having wonderful conversation and just calling out to Ren, just like bring her child in a bit when she gets a bit too playful because yes, child now has companion that's similar age. Child is having the time of their life. But she does just go, I can get you in contact with Faber and we'll sort stuff out on that front. But we will be moving pretty soon. I'm basically the best health I can be for a move. But if you need any further help or any questions, you can contact him, you can contact me. I can possibly get you in contact with other people should need be. I do want to be cited on this paper though, okay? That'd be peckin' hilarious.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And who knows, maybe other like Halloween Town is old. Maybe something went through them. It's sort of weird saying it like that, but maybe they've seen something similar that maybe doesn't have a name then, but has a name now for sure.
I mean, there's a Ro, he's a duke, but he's also a professor at their university, I think? Question mark? I basically know him as the guy who does autopsies. But anyway, he could probably be a good source of information, perhaps. but there's lots of information there. They deal with a lot of cursed shit, magical bullshit, lots of different things. And there is a hum, and then Lynn just goes, "Do not copy what I said about cursed shit. I'm not teaching you any more swears." Anyway, anyway, but yeah, if you need any help, I am something of a information network, a broker of different things. If you've got any questions about stuff, I can do my best to find it.
Mm. And honestly, maybe I'll meet. I say I would like Faber's information as like soon as possible. I feel like he's gonna well probably be as excited as me, and maybe we could talk to each other, get to know each other before the move. I mean, if you're, I know with me and Sally, I never want to intrude on your privacy. It's just.
Is what it is. But we'll work something out in the future, right? It's right now. I think you should go out with your son. Son, you're a dad, Mother Pecker. Go have some time with your son. Go interact with the world. Go outside. Trust me. It's when Sweetheart got her ambulata form, we had to kind of drag her away from grass. Just go take him to a park or something.
Scribbles like cocks ahead at that ambulata form.
Oh, you haven't met that. You know what? You know what? And partially because I'm conscious of time, and also just because this
Yeah,
is adorable as
yeah.
Peck, and as adorable as Peck, there is all
I
of a sudden just this noise from Network, and Scratch is put down, and then there is suddenly, from over by the Wall of Love, there's an offering table with an egg on it, and
Mhm.
also with a little puppet. And the puppet suddenly just like steps to, and it is a little golden monkey with a red coat and a little tutu. The eyes snap open and they just go, "Park time!" And yeah, no, that's Sweetheart. Sweetheart is running. Sweetheart has picked up Little Scratch, and Sweetheart is running for the door.
Yeah, and Scratch is like, I want that. I want this. I don't know what this is. I don't know what happened. I want that. As he lets Nettle carry him.
And Lynn just like blinks, stares, and goes, "I shouldn't have mentioned the park, Sweetheart, come back!" And she just like she is running for the door as well.
Yeah,
Just
Scribbles sort of is laughing as he runs after Lynn.
It's just Lynn grabs her coat, not her hat, but she's just grabbing stuff, slaps a like note on the door going out with Sweetheart to the park, talk to you later, love you, bye to the on the door for Rye, and she's just off like a shot of this child that's kidnapped the Scratch.
Scratch is having the time of his life, and I think eventually he realizes that he can talk to Nettle like through telepathy if they touch. So he's now like talking to Nettle all the way to the park.
Yes, Network just running like this is a 1 foot tall little toon. She is just running, just absolutely beaming, glowing. In fact, she is just very softly glowing, and there is just these two adults behind. But yeah, no, the children are loose and the children are chatting, and it is happy.
It is so happy. Oh, that was great.
That was amazing.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But
Scratches will definitely want to have multiple playdates.
Network will want to have playdates. It's just like Lynn knows that she can't have Scratch and Scribbles over every day because cases and also life, but there is just
Exactly.
every couple of days, Network will just like nudge Lynn and go, "Play date?" And she'll just go, fortnightly play dates.
Yeah, and now that Scratch sees the ambulata, he's like, "What is that? I want it. I want it. I want it, please. I want one too." And Scribbles
We're
is
gonna
just like,
Saber.
he's just like, I have to talk to say. Lynn says that Faber makes it. Like, can we see Faber? I want to see Faber. We're gonna go see Faber. It's just like, just give me a second so I can actually contact him.
Lynn will probably try and help take initiative. She's gonna scare the peck out of a wizard by breaking into his home again. Fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, I think
Yeah.
this is where we sign off to our wonderful listeners. Thank you for doing with me. It has been adorable and a delight.
Yeah, thank you for doing this too. It's just like, this has been amazing. I have loved every single moment of this.
Woo!
Woo!
But bye-bye, listeners. Bye-bye.
Bye!